So you've probably gotten mixed results from the float test and now have no idea what your porosity is. I'm going to share some indicators that you can pay attention to that will help you identify what your porosity is, and then other important information that you should know. The first indicator to pay attention to is if water sits on your hair and water beads form, or if your hair gets fully wet very quickly. And one way you can test this is by getting a spray bottle and spraying different sections of your hair and seeing if the water sits or absorbs. And make sure you do this for multiple different sections because you can have more than one porosity, which is totally normal. If water beads form along your hair shaft, that means you have low porosity hair, but if the water absorbs pretty quickly right away, that means you have high porosity hair. You can also test this when you are washing your hair. If you put your hair under water, does it take 5 to 10 minutes to get fully wet, or is it fully wet right away? The next indicator to pay attention to is if product sits on your hair or absorbs really quickly. If you notice that when you're applying product on your hair, it sits on your hair, you might get flakes more often. This might be an indication of low porosity hair, but if the product is absorbing almost immediately and effortlessly, then this is an indication of high porosity hair. But this does not mean that low porosity hair cannot handle heavier products. I have low porosity hair, and using lightweight or spray leave-in conditioners just doesn't work for me. It makes my hair very dry. When it comes to product thickness, people with fine hair usually stay away from the heavier products, but you could have low porosity, coarse, high density hair, and your hair could really love thicker, heavier products. Capri's leave-in conditioner, which is a leave-in conditioner that I've been using for the past 7 years, is a really creamy product. It does really well in my hair, and I'm going to share more about my routine after we cover everything. And if products do absorb into your hair effortlessly and right away, this is an indication of high porosity hair, and you want to make sure that you are using heavier products and also layering those products, because the product will absorb into your hair very easily, but it will also escape just as easily. This can look like using a creamy leave-in conditioner paired with an oil. It could look like a leave-in conditioner paired with a hair butter, or a leave-in conditioner paired with a hair cream, but just making sure that you are layering products as a high porosity natural is really important. Low porosity naturals can also layer products if you've tested it and it works well, but it's not like a requirement like it is for high porosity naturals, because our hair, while it has a hard time absorbing water, once the water is in, it tends to hold it really well. The third indicator to pay attention to is if using steam or heat makes a significant difference in managing your hair or your results. If you add steam or heat to your routine and all of a sudden the product is absorbing better, you're retaining moisture longer, your hair is softer, more manageable, and you just notice a big difference, this can be an indication of low porosity hair. Steam and heat helps product absorb better into your hair, so now if all of a sudden the product is actually getting in your strands, your hair will respond differently. And if using heat or steam doesn't really make a noticeable difference in your routine, it could mean that you have high porosity hair because the heat and steam is doing something that your hair can already do really well on its own. The next indicator to pay attention to is how long it takes your hair to dry. The best style to test this is a wash and go. Twist outs and braid outs aren't really the best style to test because your hair is tightly compact and the moisture is trapped in those braids or twists, so naturally it's going to take your hair longer to dry. If your hair dries fast, this can be an indication of high porosity hair, but if it's been 5-10 hours and your hair is still not dry, that's probably an indication of low porosity hair. However, this isn't always the best method for testing your porosity because other factors like your hair's density, the heaviness or thickness of the product you were using, if you have finer or coarser strands, humidity, those are all factors that can affect how long it takes your hair to dry. So it's not always a matter of quick drying time is high porosity or slow drying time is low porosity. This can be a good clue, but it's not the end-all be-all method, and you should not use this method alone. Your hair porosity can change over time, and some things that would cause your hair to go from low porosity to high porosity include things like heat damage, mechanical stress, so that's rough detangling, friction, chemical processing like dyes and relaxers. Heat damage is a big one for turning your low porosity hair into high porosity hair. Environmental wear and tear is another one. My routine as a low porosity natural is washing my hair every 7 to 10 days. I try to get as close to 7 days as possible, but sometimes it gets closer to that 10-day mark, which is really not ideal for me. And this washing frequency can be done even as a high porosity natural, and really should be done by I don't want to say everyone because not everybody likes to do everything the same, but washing every 7 days is really great for maintaining moisture because shampooing your hair is a great way to open up your cuticle, which high porosity naturals can already do well on their own, but still that process of cleaning, cleansing the hair, and re-adding moisture every 7 days is really helpful for your hair. I do try to deep condition every wash day, but if the thought of deep conditioning or doing any type of extra step is going to make me want to skip wash day, I just shampoo my hair and then I style it, I will skip deep conditioning or that extra step. Skipping wash day and adding more product, especially as a low porosity natural, is probably one of the worst things you can do. Deep conditioning with steam helps that water to actually penetrate your hair shaft and really get inside your hair, which is how hydration happens and is the only way moisture can actually take place. If you try adding product to your hair but there's no water in your hair, you're going to have a really hard time retaining moisture. So deep conditioning, shampooing frequently, especially as a low porosity natural, is really crucial to make sure that water is getting inside your strands. I also love Capri's deep conditioner because it has so much slip for detangling and it's very moisturizing. So if you're also trying to retain length, this is a great deep conditioner because it eliminates that breakage that can come with detangling, especially if you're getting frustrated and you're ripping your hair out. It eliminates all of that. After deep conditioning, I use Capri's leave-in conditioner like we talked about earlier, followed by Capri's flaxseed gel. Then I braid my hair and sit under a hooded dryer, and this is actually the result of that. The hooded dryer is actually something that I've had for less than a year. It's really new, and I really only ordered it because my twists and braids were taking over 24 hours to dry, and so I really needed something to speed up that process because I don't really have 24 hours to wait for my hair to dry. I do notice though, and I think that the heat from the hooded dryer does help a little bit. My hair was already retaining moisture really well with Capri's leave-in conditioner and deep conditioner, but that extra heat does help a little bit. There's times where I didn't even want to wash my hair because I'm like, it's still so soft and moisturized. Like, we can definitely get another 5 days out of this, but I knew that once you get in the habit of skipping wash day and skipping wash day, it becomes a habit. So, and that's not a habit that I want. That is my routine. It's very simple. Maybe when the summer comes, it's a little bit warmer, I'll be more inspired to add extra steps like a hot oil treatment, but the cold weather is not a really productive environment for me. I just survived the blizzard of 26 literally yesterday, so I don't feel very motivated to do much of anything with all the shoveling that I've had to do. It's better to have a consistent routine that you can stick to, even if it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, than an overcomplicated routine that you can't stick to, because consistency is the name of the game and is the only thing that's going to help you get the results that you're looking for. And I would even argue that simplicity is even better than a complicated routine, because I did all the complicated things, moisturizing my hair every night before bed, just adding so many extra steps, and my hair never retained length when I was doing all of that. If you have high porosity hair, you can do this exact same routine, but instead of using Capri's leave-in conditioner by itself, maybe pair it with an oil or a cream. And honestly, you can test the leave-in conditioner by itself because it is a creamier product, but don't be surprised if you do need to layer it with an oil, because that is the nature of your hair. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.